Good evening and welcome to another episode of France Sport PSL Preview Podcast. My name is Lerato Mkhondo. I am joined by two great gentlemen, Shu-Aib Walters and Calvin Sosibo. Both men have played for Maritzburg United. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
How's your week been so far?
It's been pretty okay, I suppose. I mean, everybody's into the December, taking it a bit easy now, a little bit of holiday mode. So I think everybody's into that now. So it's been laid back.
Are you into that?
No, not really. I just came back from Cape Town from a soccer event that the company and the goalkeeping academy, Shu-Aib Walters Goalkeeping Academy, hosted in Cape Town. So it's been pretty busy and hectic. So we're just looking forward now to maybe the rest of the next few weeks just before Christmas, and then probably take a nice break over the Christmas period.
Okay. Do you know where you'll be going for that break?
No,
I
I think
keep it a secret for now.
No. We're gonna be chilling. Family and I, we're gonna be chilling in Johannesburg, sightseeing maybe in Johannesburg. We haven't really had the opportunity to do that, so we're gonna try that out.
Calvin?
I will never rest. I'm always busy. There's so many things that I do. I think for me, resting is going to make me more lazier. But there's more to do, but with limited time.
Okay. Before we get on to today's program, let me just remind our loyal viewers at home that you can engage us on Twitter using the hashtag FranceSport, or you can just simply send us a voice note, call in via WhatsApp or direct call using the number 065 874 8111. That is 065 874 8111. Let's start with Maritzburg United versus Mamelodi Sundowns. Yizo the return, Baba. Middendorf.
Yeah.
He's back at Maritzburg United. What's the first thing you think he should do? Shu-Aib?
I think I know what he's going to do because he's been there with similar situations before, and he's going to go straight into the drawing board. I'm sure he must have already, probably a week before he even got there, known what he was going to do, how he was going to plan. He's planning those 3 games. I mean, this is his second game now. He was planning that 3 games probably on his flight back from Ethiopia. So that is just Middendorf. He's going to be trying to outwit them, see where he can capitalize. And I don't think it's going to change too much to the way Eric has been playing with Maritzburg when it comes to sitting a little bit deep, trying to hit him on transition. What I do think is that with Middendorp, the forward passing, obviously after winning the ball, is going to be a lot more fluent maybe and a lot more constructive in that way. It's going to be a tough game because he has to kind of manage confidence and also try and get his style of play in, or not his style of play, but his certain philosophies, his certain player movements. So it's going to be very difficult, and also with the fact that they're sitting without a win. And now you played SuperSport last week, now you're playing Mamelodi Sundowns. So all of those things are hurdles that he's going to try and overcome, and I think he must have worked towards that already.
Okay. Calvin?
Yeah, I think on my side, I think Middendorf is actually good on prioritization. I'm sure certainly when he left Ethiopia as well, as Shu-Aib is putting it, he had a look at the team. He saw in terms of where he can improve, which are the other aspects that he can actually make the team to actually bounce back to winning ways. And knowing him, we're going to see now more of progression football, more going forward, more entries in the box, trying to consolidate in terms of defense. They don't have a bad defense, but he likes to play more direct. Shu-Aib will tell you in terms of combination play. He likes playing on the final third, but he always likes to keep things very clinical and moving forward. So playing Sundowns, it could be a turnaround for Maritzburg, because now everybody thinks that Maritzburg is a beatable team since they had a good run, but it showed on the bubble as well. But now I think they can come back, they can rescue themselves, and I think he's going to do an absolutely good job for them.
How do you think he should approach Mamelodi Sundowns, and are they picking up 3 points against them?
Yeah, I think the approach that he needs to use against Sundowns, he knows them in and out. I'm sure that's a very smart coach in terms of tactical He's very good. So I think his tactical prowess will actually put him into an edge, even though it could end up maybe in a draw or they can win the game. But now you're looking at a Mamelodi Sundowns that is high on form, so it's not going to be an easy one. But I think they're going to give them a run for their money. With the encouragement coming back of him as well into the leadership middle up, I think it will give them an edge because it's a coach that they know. Most players worked with him, and I think that team he knows that team at the back of his hand now because he's been coming there for quite so long. He will go and come back. He will go and come back, and then it just proves that even with when the team management trusts you in terms of you can deliver the duties, that's why they always bring you back.
Moving over to the opponents, Mamelodi Sundowns, Wayne Arendse and Anthony Laffoy have been released. It was coming. They haven't been playing for a while. Will Sundowns miss them?
No, not at all. I mean, look, they've got in abundance in every department. Like you were saying, Lerato, I think it's been coming a long time. But they also, Sundowns has to also, and the supporters I'm sure must have, given thanks for their loyal service and their undivided. I mean, that is true professionals. And a lot of the younger players coming into Sundowns now can actually use them as examples. You know that if you are hardworking, loyal to a club, disciplined, you can make a life out of football. I mean, you're looking at Wayne Arendse, he's been 8 years there, 22 trophies, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So you can build a good legacy for yourself and become a success when it comes to a football career if you are, all those attributes that we just mentioned and characteristics, if you can fulfill that. And it should be a good motivation for players coming from Cape Town like Jody February, Grant Mageman, that you can make it outside Cape Town. And it's been an illness for many decades with Cape Town footballers not surviving outside and
not settling in.
And not settling in Johannesburg. I mean, we have even recently now with Riyad Noordin, with Mubara. Mubara's playing the best football of his life now at Cape Town City. But what was it, a year ago? He was struggling to...
Pirates, Pirates,
So, you can look at it, but Wayne Arendse can be that motivation for the rest of them. And that's why I say for the likes of your Jody February's, for the likes of your Grant Magemans coming from Cape Town specifically. But yeah, I think they're not going to miss them at all. They look like probably a well-oiled machine now already. 3, 4, 5 games into the league. They're looking like they're going to run away with the league in the way they play. It doesn't even look like they're missing Pitt so much. As much as it was sad to see him go, but they don't even miss him much. So yes, I don't think it's going to be much of a miss for Sundowns.
Yeah, just to chip in there onto Shu-Aib, I think Durban and Cape Town players, they struggle, in fact, to settle in the city. And that has been an underlining issue that we always had because we are so used to the coast and the comfort zone. But now and again, I think players actually now needs to pick themselves up and understand that you're not going to be here on holiday. You're here to work. It's a similar case where players go overseas and then they get uncomfortable and then they quickly come back home, while we know that they're best players. And again, to add on what Shu-Aib is saying, we can make a lot in terms of football because if you can be on one club for 8 years, that's a lot. And sometimes in a bigger club like that, maybe you are spared maybe 2 or 3 years, and at the utmost maybe you can stay at the club. So I think for players, if they can be more disciplined and then understand that there's also brand loyal and a club loyalty, they will always look after you. Yes, even though that they have to leave, they need to make space for the youngsters that are actually coming in as well. Even though I will feel as well, they are almost in the twilight of their careers, whereby now they feel if they take another move to another team, it actually spells out that they want to play more, at least now closer to their retirement. Players like Anthony Laffoy actually want more game time, and right now at Sundowns, it doesn't look like he's going to get any game time because the combinations are starting to roll in for Sundowns. They're picking up points, so there's nothing wrong to temper with whatever that is happening at Sundowns. It's going to be criminal.
Still on Mamelodi Sundowns, Calvin, before I give it to Shu-Aib, I give him a chance to talk because this is his department. The goalkeeping department, the competition there is tight. Who is in the pecking order and why?
I think it's a good balance for now, and I like the way it is, the way they're pushing each other, Mweni and and Onyango. It gives a healthy competition. I think those players actually have good attributes. They've got good aerial presence. They differ. Shu-Aib will correct me there. They differ. One is good on a short stopper. One is good on build-up play. So I think when you have that variety as goalkeeper, you always be entrusted on different games. And I like how they they actually mix the players up in terms of they are trying to find placement in terms of which game they can play and which game they want to try out, because they started now with Moeni on the other games and then Onyango came in a little bit, but now we have to be aware that Onyango actually had an injury, so maybe those were just the build-up stages in terms of rolling up into the team. So yeah, for me, I think it still looks healthier, and for keepers as well, it's good to see that where you have good competition, you're always on your toes, not knowing that every time you're going to start.
Shu-Aib?
Yeah, for me, I'm just a little bit disappointed that I never saw Riyad Petersen make a move, because he's at his time now. We have a Bafana squad that is calling on goalkeepers that are doing well, and he had opportunity to go and play somewhere, and he never took it. So I'm not too sure what the whole politics is with regarding to it and why. I think Ricardo Goss also shot himself in the foot with going there, because he was also borderline Bafana call-ups.
Yes.
If you're not playing now, then how are you going to
get into the line? Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
As you look, for example, Henderson at Man United, he hasn't been playing, but the English fans want him to play for England, but there's no warrant for it because he's not playing at his club. And it's the exact same thing now here. And we're having and it's because I'm a South African, and you want to see South African grow in the goalkeeping department. Now we have our 3rd, 4th, 5th best goalkeepers all sitting on the bench at the clubs. So if Kuhn is injured and Williams is maybe off form, then who? I mean, we have Brandon Peterson, which is also there somewhere in the bush now at the moment. We don't know where he is, he's in limbo. So it's killing the strengthening of our national team. And that is where I feel we need people to step in and say, you know what, we want to strengthen our national team and our goalkeeping. We need our best goalkeepers to be playing at the respective clubs. So for me, as much as there's good competition there, I want Jody to come from the NFD and get, and see how it is to compete with top professionals. So for him to stay there is fine. Dennis and win his season campaigners, for them to compete. But I mean, the likes of Ricardo Goss, yes, you can sign for long term, because Dennis is 35, Kennedy is 36. So they're going to be, in the next season or two, going to be phasing out one of the two. So Ricardo, go get some game time, and then show your worth to Sundowns, and you could potentially fight for number 1 next season. Or Riyad, one of the two. And then you're still sitting with 4 goalkeepers because you're playing a lot. Your fixtures is congested. You want competition in that department, yes. But one of the two, I think, should have gone. Either Ricardo or Riyad, one of the two.
Yeah, I think for me, Riyad should have been the best option to go. Because I think for him, having that freedom or going to another team was actually going to rebuild his confidence again to compete, to be part of the goalkeepers in the national team, as Shu-Aib is actually putting it. And also for Riyad Godse, yes, for signing for a longer term, it's working for him in a financial sense, because now when another keeper start picking up, Sundowns can sign anybody. Sundowns can bring another keeper again while he's still on loan. So sometimes becomes a catch-22, but now for a goalkeeper that has been doing well, that has put his foot into the national team call-up, I think he should have continued with that, calculate the move, yes, sign for Sundowns, but look at the situation, because we have 2 brilliant goalkeepers that are there. Yeah, but not doubting him.
But if you look at Dennis, 2010, 2011, he was at Wits on loan, and then he was at Aces on loan, and he hardly played. But it was just for him to get that confidence, and that is what I'm feeling now. Is Ricardo Goss was doing well at Wits.
So what are we saying now, Shu-Aib? Are we actually saying maybe in terms of the management styles, in terms of our managers that actually help us with our deals, to say, read the move, because as a player, I mean, there needs to be a space in it.
That for me is to be realistic. I mean, yes, you want to go financially, but you also want to play, and your guidance as a youngster is you're just going to see figures. You see Sundowns coming and offer you big money, and now you just see money.
Then you forget playing again.
Jump at the opportunity.
Yes,
like, yo.
yes, you're going to jump to the opportunity, but you're going to forget about playing. But 2 months down the line, Calvin, then
Very-
what's going to happen? Now,
Yeah, it's gonna
now
catch up.
I got the money, but I'm not playing and I'm not happy, and you get
Or especially when you're
demoralized.
at the right age to still play, you know.
Thank you. And that is the most important thing, Lerato. And for me, it's your agent and the people that are advising you.
It needs to be spot on. There needs to be good people that are actually have the best interest of your career. Because I mean, we have gone through that as professionals, whereby the agent will always see the bigger picture in terms of his own benefits, but not for me. Because for me, it might be a good signing for Chiefs, but I wouldn't mind to actually be kept a little bit back or go on a loan for a season loan just to pick myself up. Not that I wasn't doing bad, because for me to be signed, there were signs that they needed me in the club. But now if I see there's no opportunity there, why should I stay there? Because now I'll start building up a bad attitude towards players. Week in, week out, players are playing. I'm not playing. I'm not even part of the 18. You are training in separate groups. And those are some of the dynamics that actually damages a player, because there's an 18 and there's actually a squad that actually trains right on the side. You don't even have, they don't even look at you. They don't even look at you. They will only call you when somebody is injured to come
And
in
that kills
and
the
place
player's
him.
confidence, I
It
can
does.
imagine. Yeah.
It does, definitely.
Speaking of Ricardo, is he an overseas material?
Ricardo Goss, for me, to be honest, Lerato, yes, I think he can. If I see the likes of your Darren Keat that could do
made it,
well as a goalkeeper, I think looking at the Scandinavian countries, most definitely, Sweden, Norway, Belgium, you can definitely compete. And I look now, I saw that Steve Hoffman is in Kosovo with Alan Clark, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. So you can use some of these Scandinavian...
As a step ups, yeah.
As a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Do
Stone,
well, then move. You can move around. You can. I mean, look at May Maklango. He hasn't really played at the biggest of leagues in.
But he's got a lot of movement on his
He's
belt.
got a lot
yeah.
of movement. And
Yeah.
then you connect with agents
The
and you
likes
do
of
well.
Zungu,
Yeah.
Zungu,
Pesita, who
yes,
have been moving
yeah.
around. Quite,
Look, for me, is the opportunities are endless, but just getting yourself in there. But I think coming now and you fourth choice at Sundowns, I mean, that's going to be a bit hard. And time doesn't stand and wait for anybody.
Yeah, true.
True. That.
So that is what they need to know and they need to understand. I would have rather, I mean, there's plenty of other clubs there. I would have rather gone to another club, played 1 or 2 years, always be in the Bafana's eye.
Yeah.
Because Koen is also coming of age. Darren Keat is also in limbo, so he might not be called up. So it's only Ronwen. Daniel Appa is, pushing
And we
Koen.
can't rely on Ronwen only.
Only. I mean, injuries come, form comes. There's plenty of aspects that come into it. So your decision making at times needs to be kind of, balanced. And I just don't think that the advisors at that time advised them properly. You're knocking on the Bafana's door, and now you go sit, and you know that you have Onyango and Kennedy.
So that means you take the food out of your mouth. Like if you go to Sundowns, Sundowns is a big club, but then are you going to play? Because already you got selected for playing at your current team. So now when you are benched, because
numbers on the bench and the
for,
strength.
for you to get a call up, I think you need about like 75% of your game time in your team in order to actually to knock in that door to get recognized. But now if you're playing 0 games, then they have no choice than to actually to put you aside.
And a goalkeeper is a totally different phenomena to a Peter Shalolela that came in and works hard and he says, okay, I'm warranting a position in my team at Sundowns.
Yeah.
But a Ricardo coming, you can work your socks off. You're not going to play because Dennis was goalkeeper of Africa.
Yeah.
He was,
There's just so much on top
there's
of
so
you.
many of those obstacles, so much more obstacles. You have to wait for the injury or off form, and I'm talking about off form for at least 3-4 games in a row.
And
then
that, what's the possibility of
Exactly.
Onyango being off form? So
You
those are some of
understand.
the things that you need to look at in terms, as like Shu-Aib was saying as well, just to come in there. I think for players, the best move now will actually to maybe, if they can work around in terms of the Asian countries trying to play there, I personally feel they're good material, they can fit in there quite good. Because some of those teams on those countries, they are not that well developed. So there's a fit. I went to Hong Kong and I saw how things were. I mean, like South African players here that are playing on an NFD, they can easily be a good fit on that because there we have what they don't have, which is your basic skills. So the only part that always disturb African players is when it comes to the tactical side, because we feel when you run with the ball, you become a good player. But there they teach you in terms of how do you maneuver, how do you play with the rest of the team and the signage.
Still on Mamelodi Sundowns, how do you think they should approach the game against Maritzburg United?
Oh, is this the Sundown show, Lerato?
No.
I just wanted to see. I wanted to just double check. Are we on?
Just before we move on.
Yeah.
Before you move on.
Oh,
Or you
we're
just
on
wanna
Mamelodi
jump- You
Sundowns
just want to
TV,
jump
yeah.
straight to giving your predictions.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
I
no.
think-
We like to analyze the bigger clubs, especially when it's top against bottom.
Yeah.
We love it, and I think there's a lot of content when it comes to the bigger teams.
Absolutely.
And yes, so for me, I think the approach is going to be very simple. I mean, like it's a good pitch, Ariguala. They're going to play this similar football where they're going to have their fullbacks, trying. We know that Middendorp is going to be compact.
Yeah.
It's very compact, so obviously Sundowns is going to try and stretch him with Morena and Laila, as the fullbacks. And we'll have your Shalolile working hard, but, trying to move the ball with Kermit playing on the shoulder of the defense, Mashishi making those late runs, which I think is going to be a big concern for Maritzburg. Why? Because they've got two strikers now, so both central defenders are always going to be occupied and going to be marking Shalulile and Erasmus, and that is why
It
Themba
becomes
Zwane
tricky.
becomes so
more fluent.
and become good positions because he's never marked. You can't be marked because it's difficult. You're marking two strikers here and then you're just seeing Themba Zwane coming, making late runs. But I think with the transition, they're going to have an issue. They've got some good speed, obviously, with Maritzburg, so they're going to have to be careful. I think they found a good balance with Rivaldo Kutsia in
the
that
middle,
holding midfielder,
Yeah.
covering the fullbacks, just marking in good spaces. And whenever they lose the ball, trying to win it back, and always,
to play the forward pass.
yeah, and not being exposed too much on the flanks like teams think they could be. I think they've worked on that as well. So I think it's going to be an entertaining game. My predictions is, I'm always going to be biased towards Maritzburg, wanting them to win, but I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm
Please
going to
feel
go with
free. This is a free country.
yeah. I'm gonna okay. My hope is for Maritzburg to win, but I think Sundowns is going to take this one just because of their form.
Yeah, I think my hope as well is just that Maritzburg actually must come back and have a good run, so then they can start playing their own football. Because I think if they can get one win off the belt, I think this will give them confidence to actually to approach other games with more confidence and more resilience. And looking at Sundowns' approach towards the game as well, I think Sundowns is actually going to manipulate Maritzburg as much as they're going to stay compact. But now, as Mangoba and Steve, they will always play against those, because now they will try and actually make use of the width play. So when they make use of the width play, they're trying to actually to break the scale, to separate the compactness of their play. And how is that going to happen when you have players like your Morena and your Laileke who will actually be staying on the line or playing as inverted players? So that also gives you an opportunity where Morena will be going up. But the only good side that I actually see from Maritzburg actually exploiting is the recovery of those win back is very slow. Now and again they get caught in their transition, and if Maritzburg actually capitalize on that, they can actually come away with a goal. But in terms of when it comes to the ball orientation, like how Sundowns is playing quite pretty decent football, where they build up, they have a slow build up, and they will always try to suck you in. So if you're a team that will actually stay compact and stay low, eventually they will get you, because if you see a striker like Shaulile and Kermit, who's the shortest player, who actually stays with the two center backs in between them. Why does he do that? So that if Shaulile goes, then he can drop, then you'll have Mshishi is the one actually that is going through. So that's the main reason. Now you think why they playing with Erasmus at the top, or he stays more at the top, because Erasmus, what he's good at, is good on making the runs behind defenders, in between and in front of them. Because even the goals that he scores, you can always see him is always more or less in the box. The only hard-working player that is there is when you find Shaolide that's moving from side to side. Why does he do that? He always wants to unsettle the back four. So if you're still gonna play in front of them as defenders, you are happy about that. Even the keepers, when they direct you, if you're still in front and you're keeping your compact shape in front, because the aim is to protect the keeper from being scored. But now Sundowns will try to actually to use wing play and also trying to play from deep, coming from deep.
All right. Don't forget to join the conversation on Twitter or via WhatsApp. On Twitter, use the hashtag FranceSport, and let's hear your thoughts and what you think of Calvin and Shu-Aib's predictions. Now we move on to TTM versus AmaZulu. Apparently, TTM did not get paid. They didn't get their salaries. How will this issue impact their game against AmaZulu?
Can I take that from a player's point of view?
I haven't been in that situation before where
I have. That's why I want to pick it up
That's why we
quickly.
can leave
Okay,
it with
Let's
Calvin.
hear from Calvin.
I think the situation that is happening right now, players are actually losing confidence in terms of from the owner's side, because if you're not going to pay me for what I'm doing as a job, it's not going to be a nice picture to paint in other players. And confidence, I think AmaZulu, this is the right time where they're supposed to be picking up point up until they rectify that situation that they have. So I think the TTM players will be down on confidence. There's been quite a lot that has been happening for them. And I think the more and more stress that is actually added on top of them, it makes players uncomfortable. Even if they lose, they be like, okay, but you're losing and you're not getting paid. Sometimes you'll find other chairmen that they'll say, we're paying you a lot of money, but you're not delivering. But if it's coming from an office side where now an office is not delivering, it actually pinches on the player. But now it's going to test players in terms of, are they going to be true professionals, or they're just going to take this setback and then lose the game just because they're trying to actually to get back to the chairman. This is now left to be seen. But now I think for you to be a professional player, you have to understand those situations, because other teams that are actually watching these games, they will actually understand that you're coming from it. When you're going to be signed to another team, if you're going to come back with the same attitude, that's why now senior players in most teams, they are actually trying to get rid of them, because they become a bad influence. Like if one payment doesn't go through, now you decide that you want to boycott the whole thing, then that becomes a problem.
But they haven't trained this week. They haven't, eh? They've apparently been missing training. They haven't trained this week as well. Well, I'm not too sure how many training sessions, but because they haven't gotten paid.
Yeah, but I think they're also sure that's not actually the good way to take that position for players, because remember, if you're going to leave now in this situation, what's going to happen to you?
I understand that, but for me what I'm saying is not right. It's not right what you're doing and the way you are doing it.
Yes.
I think that, yes, the PSL should step in, or the players' union should step in when it comes to the payment. But at the end of the day, you have a job to do. And I know for me, for the fact is, I would never miss training, and I would never influence players to do that.
But isn't Shu-Aib the same thing that you mentioned, that how long would this team actually hold up in terms of not paying players? Because the last podcast we had, you had the similar problem with them not paying players. And then you asked, in terms of the regulation, did they actually check in terms of their finances? Can they run the team?
Exactly. So what is, because now is when players are saying they're not being paid, PSL should step in and say, now, why is the players not being paid? Is it true? You know, that is where I feel that we need the people, the board and the people above to step in. Players should do what they can't even say players should do what they paid to do, because
they're not getting paid.
Because I was about to ask, how should the players approach the issue? How should they strike? What should they do?
Look, no, for me, you shouldn't have a strike. You should do what you do on the field to the best of your ability. Let your admin, let your team captain or your team's captains, let them go and fight for you at the office, or your team manager go and fight for you at the office.
You continue with your work that
because when the situation comes and you are being paid and you're losing games now, you're going to have that uphill, you're going to have that struggle. So rather, do what you are going to do. And also, what players don't understand is that football is such a small world in South African football. They think that, yes, when coaches fight on the bench, they hate one another. No, they talk to one another. So now me as a TTM head coach, I'm going to say, Calvin Sosibo didn't want to pitch up for training. Now he phones Gavin and he tells Gavin, this is how Sosi is, or this is how this player is. Other teams are not going to sign you, because now they know if you don't want to play just for one salary, or you don't want to play for this,
then you can't fight for me then.
You won't fight for the team, you won't fight for the brand, you won't fight for the coaches. So those are the things that players also need to take in consideration.
Yeah, true.
But they can't pay bills, they can't pay school fees. Who's going to pay for that if they're not getting their salary?
That is understandable, but at the end of the day, those things are about to happen, but because you need to actually also look at in terms of the environment that we're in as a country or in the world. We're actually going through a rough patch, but now again, you still need to get something. At least you are owed a salary, so you can make arrangements when it comes to your bills or your school payments or whatever. But you can't just up and go, because this is a greater opportunity for some of the admin or other teams where they will come in and say, okay, Shu-Aib didn't want to train. Anyway, Shu-Aib is on a higher package, let's release him. And then let's rather stay with these ones that we can actually manage. Anyway, Shu-Aib was on a bigger package. So you're the first one to leave that team. So sometimes some of these things needs to be calculated as players. As Shu-Aib is saying, let's just stick to playing, and then let's see it all out. Let's see it out, because we're always going to have representative. You've got your vice captain, you've got your captain that can actually sit with the management team in the board and then discuss the terms and how we move forward. Whatever they tell our captain, the captain needs to come back and report to us. But if you're going to take a stand and then you're going to strike, it's going to be a different way, because remember, I don't know how the regulations are in terms of like PSL if now a team decides not to pitch up because of salary. As Shu-Aib is saying, if PSL has to chip in, they need to find out and know exactly what is happening there, because they cannot actually say they are not going to a match.
But and for me, if you look at the dynamics of the situation where players came out and were saying to the media that they haven't been paid, which
washing their own strip as well.
Yes, which means that they to a certain degree weren't told by management that we're going to pay late or we can't pay or have a meeting. You know, so if you can't pay, have the decency at least
To come and tell players.
and tell the players, look here, we waiting on the grant, or we waiting on this, and we're going to be a bit delayed this month.
Yeah.
By the dynamics of what we see, that maybe didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that I think is also wrong. And I think if you can't pay your players, then at least have the decency to go out and tell them, or have a meeting and tell them, oh, this is the situation that we are in. Be a little bit transparent in that sense.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, the players are owed money. They've worked. It's not a favor. They've trained. There's a game that is coming. They need to be paid. So they are not doing them a favor by paying them. They earn those monies.
I hear you gentlemen saying that PSL should step in, but it's not their responsibility at the end of the day. It's the club. It's the club that is wrong.
But
As a
who
governing
approved?
body, yeah.
But who approved it? When you want to buy a building and you want to maintain the building, you need to show that if myself and Calvin wants to buy this building, we need to show that we can maintain this building. And
Do we
we
have
must
enough?
show to the bank, and we have enough.
Do we have
That-
enough
Yes.
reserves to actually to maintain this?
If another, we don't wish this upon, but if another pandemic should hit, we should be able to sustain something.
Yes, that's why they are projecting and forecast.
And that,
They are made for that.
and when somebody that comes and they have a bad reputation already wants to go into the bank, and you want to go and buy a building or you want to buy a house, the bank is going to say, no, sorry, you got bad judgments. You can't afford it, sorry, we can't approve it. You understand? So there was people that made the decision already when people had those certain bad judgments or bad reputation to a certain degree. So I think that is...
So, yeah, another way maybe who took the risk to actually to approve the deal? Because, I mean, if you can't maintain the building and then it start looking shabby, people lose interest in terms of that organization. So I think if it's well maintained, even though it has its own problem, because you can throw in a Celtics as well, they also have a similar run. They also had some problem of their own. But still, we had positive news that players still rocked up to training. Some of them,
And
they
they
were
finished in the top
representing,
8.
and
They
then
are
they finished on
playing
the
in
top
the
8. So,
CCL now.
yeah, so we need to balance these things and look at them in a way. Do we have like proper representative that can actually present us to the board to actually to get good decision makers? Because if we just gonna take decisions as players, it's good to take it. When they call you, you are by yourself. When they tell you that Shu-Aib, tomorrow don't come to training,
You're on your own.
you're on your own. And we were thinking, no, this was about us having to get our salaries.
It's over for you.
It's over
the
for you.
club.
Then now, how are you going to pay those bills that you were fighting for?
Let's move over to AmaZulu. They have added Velimutwa to give Mbata competition. Should Veli start ahead of Mbata?
No, definitely not. I think we've mentioned it before that AmaZulu needed to bring the best out of Mbata, he needs tough competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is I think that is, yes, you slip up now or 2 games again, and then we have someone. So you know that. Like I've been in that situation before where you as a goalkeeper and as a footballer generally, you sometimes have 2 good games and you will tell yourself, let me work hard at training now because I want to do well. But subconsciously, man, you slack. There's just something about, you'll tell yourself in your mind all the time, let me work hard, but there's just, and you slack and it affects your game. And I think a lot has to do with beginning of the season where Pirates has shown interest in Bata. And I think that kind of changed.
Yeah, it throws him off, yeah.
It throws you off. When
you think you're a bit bigger now,
Yes.
this is when actually your wheels will start coming off because you lose the hunger that you had prior. Because I think, for my side, I think he felt that even Monip came with a higher pedigree, but he didn't give him that competition because he was he was very close to actually to retire. So for him, it was a competition. So he was using him as more of a guide in situations like this. What
yes, but that's what I'm saying. At the beginning of last season, Monip was there as a player, and that is when he was doing well.
Yeah.
Because he had Monip there.
Yes, to
But
push
then
him.
obviously when Monip went into more of the coaching side of things, and then his game was still up there, and then the interest came, and now he just thought, you know what, it's cruise, and subconsciously that hits you. It's one of the biggest, Sosibo will tell you, one of the biggest sicknesses in South African football is our mental capacity.
Yeah, true.
So when should he be introduced? After 2 games, 3 games?
I think it will work in terms of the coach. The coach will actually have to understand the system, how it actually works, what he wants. I think at this stage, they are still fairly doing well. To put a new keeper now, it's going to be suicide because, I mean, Bata understands the culture of the team. He's been there for longer than the keeper just actually came. Not that the keeper is new to the environment, PSL, but, I mean, again, we need to understand that he still needs to find his feet in terms of the team. How does the team play? Get used to the back 4, the communication lines, all of those things get into play. So introducing him now, for me.
And it could be detrimental to the player himself. If the team loses and he concedes even a penalty,
they will start looking at
they
you.
will start looking at you as a goalkeeper. It's not even the goalkeeper's fault, but they're just going to say, you know what, this is the goalkeeper's fault.
And it's not always nice when someone says to you, if it was Mbata there, that save would have actually tipped it or would have punched it or grabbed it.
So I think it's just good competition for Mbata, and if they obviously continue to maybe not win, they should look at bringing him in because he's obviously reliable. He was the captain at Chippa.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because he played regularly at Chippa United. Look at Ofori at Orlando Pirates. Shot straight into the starting line.
But I think those dynamics are different. And I think
How so?
also the dynamics are different. Yes, he played regularly at Chippa. Mbata also was playing regularly at this side. So you're saying we should demote Mbata because somebody came in now. We can't do that. We have to actually, it's a good competition that actually challenges Mbata to be on his feet. In terms of when I wear 2 goalkeepers, I will go with your side where I can actually play the new keeper. Why? Because I think for me, he's lighter on foot. He comes out convincingly for crosses. Mbata sometimes I feel his sense of judgment becomes a little bit blunt in some areas because even the game that he played, where he was supposed to punch the ball, he went half-heartedly, and then they scored. So for me, I think within that, with the good physical presence as well, aerially, with Mbata, I think is a little bit maybe under him. I think the keeper is like 1.8 or so, 1.9.
Yeah, it could be, but the biggest thing that you never mentioned is that if you look at the 2 players, the condition that they are in.
Yeah.
And you look at Mbata's condition.
Yeah.
Now that for me is your first thing sign. Maybe what we could look at, maybe what they are gonna look at is, you know what, go and chill with the fitness coach for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's why I was. That's why.
Go and chill there.
Yeah.
Get yourself fit. Get yourself in a good condition.
Yeah, but now this is exactly what I was saying. That's why I mentioned that he's lighter.
So why?
Mbata is not. Bata is not light on foot. He's heavy. That's what I was trying to say. Because even his area, even his judgment as well,
Yeah.
it's not the greatest. Because I think his weight is a little bit heavier. The keeper, at least, yes, I think he's somebody there. But even his height could actually be a benefiting factor. Because from Bata, you are heavy, but still now again you need to pick yourself to get to reach the balls. It's kind of different. That, like if I'm playing against you, Shu-Aib, and I'm shorter than you, I need to do more. You still need to work, but you need to work a little bit lesser than I have because I need to have a spring. How does a player that big spring?
No, but you see, that is why he didn't get to that ball. You're
Yeah.
talking about the fourth goal. Yeah, and that is exactly why he didn't get there. It's because of the conditioning.
Yeah, well, with that one, I agree with you. That's why I said the one is light on foot, the other one is not.
But you can't talk in riddles. Eh?
My favorite question, predictions. Shu-Aib?
I'm going to go with AmaZulu win because I'm excited also. I want to see, obviously, the new
The
recruits
new
coming in.
additionals.
Yeah,
Players.
yeah. I think also they made good signings, and
Yeah.
that actually should give them a positive result with the squad that they've assembled. And I mean, every team that is playing them now, starting to realize that AmaZulu are a team that to look out for. It's not like we're going there for a draw or we're going there for 3 points. But now more, it's like we're going to have actually a tough match.
Yeah.
And you have to look at TTMs. Getting phone calls, when is the maintenance going to be paid, the bond. So now
Yeah.
you're sitting with all of that in the hotel room. It does play with you
and
to
we
a certain
always-
degree.
And we always
Yeah.
play these games. We always play they will always play these games. Some other players will make phone calls because we know each other. We're like, hey boss, did you get paid this month? Can I send you an e-wallet, nyana, so you can maybe handle those things? But remember, if you start performing, Baba, I'm going to reverse my e-wallet. So just be careful because I know you guys never get paid. So maybe I can give you a bonus to sort your stuff out.
Let's move over to TX Galaxy and Stellenbosch. We haven't seen much of those teams, so I'm just going to jump straight to predictions, if that's okay with you, gentlemen, or we want to add anything?
No, I think with me is I'm going to go with Stellenbosch. I think they've got TS Galaxy still got a team that they
They're
building.
yeah.
And it's still going to take a while for them to get into that well-oiled machine that we're talking about, Sundowns. I think with Stellenbosch, they never released too many players and they never made too many signings. They made signings at the right place. Consistency. Yes, they looked a little bit shambles against Sundowns, but I mean, it's Sundowns, and Sundowns can do that to you.
Yeah.
It's a
I
red hot
I was a bit worried with certain goals that they conceded with Stellenbosch, the defense. I mean, 3-4 players around one ball, and but I still think that Stellenbosch with TS Galaxy, I'm going to go with Stellenbosch win.
Yeah, also myself, I think with Stellenbosch as well, I think they took the foot off the pedal. They had a good run in the bubble, and I don't know what went wrong for them to be in that shape. But yes, Sundowns being on top of them actually proved the quality that they also had. And when it comes to TX Galaxy, I think it was always advantage to the players because they were coming from the NFD. So the climate is not the same because players always trying to prove a point when it comes to the PSL teams. But now since they've been raised up, so now they have to get used to the new tactics and new dynamics because they can't play as if they are playing an NFD team. There needs to be a change in terms of their style of play. Even Den is trying to build that because we saw him when he was a Chippa. It took him some time to get those boys to be a passing team that they were. So I would say I would also go with the Stellies as well.
Stellenbosch. You can also send us your predictions on Twitter using the hashtag FranceSport. And please don't forget to call in, send voice notes on 065 874 8881. Baroka FC versus Chippa United. What can we expect from this match?
It's actually going to be a tough one. For me, I think Baroka obviously has to come back now. They were quick out of the blocks.
Yeah.
Chippa's looking like they've got some purpose in their football, obviously with Siema there. Also, Siema's brought a little bit more structure when it comes to defensive organization, which I think is going to be a bit harder for Baroka. The way they were playing against Pirates, they were sitting a bit deep trying to hit on transition. So I want to see how they're going to play, and I think it's going to be a tough one. But I'm probably going to go with a draw with this game.
Is it going to be a goalless one?
No, I think there's going to be goals. I think there's going to be goals. I think both teams have shown that they can take their chances. And yeah, I think I'm going to go with maybe 2-2, 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think also myself with Chippa as well. I think they're building up nicely. We can actually tell from watching their games in terms of the purpose, how they're playing, the goals that they're trying to score as well. Their build-up play going up front. With Baroka, you're seeing like a spitfire, and that actually like it's quickly dying down now. I don't know what's causing that. Maybe it's because they started well, because they're a team that maybe who are not used to starting well, because Baroka has never been good starters, but now this season they came off the block. I don't know whether they're blowing out of steam too early, or I think now players needs to go back and reassess themselves.
Or the new coaches.
Yeah, maybe the
philosophy
philosophy is actually clashing with the
with the
players
with the old coach. Yeah.
So maybe the old coach, when they got off the block, they were finishing off from the coach that had left. Now the one that is coming in now is introducing another element or new dimension that is actually slowing them down now, which is we no longer seeing them, because it was starting to mature what they were trying to do from the older coach. So yeah, with Siema, it's good to see that slowly is getting his foot deeper on the ground, and the players are grinding for him. So yeah, I'll give it to Chippa 1-0.
We had this conversation and Sosi actually defended Tiema, because I thought he was going crazy by making that decision to go to Chippa. No, I said it, that I think he was crazy to do that, because he built something good at Celtic. Maybe I didn't show the confidence that I should have in him, because I didn't think that he had it in him to make a change that the way he did. But yeah, I must give him a lot of credit now. He's really shown he can vary. He didn't only need Celtics to be known as a good coach. He could go to a team that was in a shambles and actually make something that somebody that knows football you can see. So yeah, congratulations to Siema.
No, I defended him with my whole life, because everybody was like, it was like, because
it didn't backfire at all.
I think for me, even if it backfired, I would still have taken it, because I think for a coach to have left a team that was doing so well, to actually to move down to a team that was struggling, and then when he got there, it started changing, because always I kept on saying to Shu-Aib, listen to him when he's actually on the post-match or after post-match interviews. He's almost calm, and he's always talking about, no, we're still building now and there, but things are actually starting to take shape. And then I always had that belief, because he had a plan, even though he didn't have much players that he would have actually been accustomed to Celtics. But when he got there, but I think for him to be saying that it was him working with those players, that I can build something from him. Which is, as it has proven that.
Now we move on to a fixture that is very entertaining. These teams, when they play against each other, very unpredictable. Orlando Pirates, Cape Town City.
Always drama also. So just red cards or this or that. Yeah. Look, Calvin, do you want to start over here?
Yeah, I can start. I just hope, I feel as if for Zimbabwe now, he just feels as if he just wishes that Mabasa can still stay on the scoring streak to help his team to actually to still go up. And I think for the game temperament, yes, there's going to be tempers flare, because I think some of the players will always think that they are better than the players. I know Cape Town players, they are tough. They are tough cookie to crack, because they always go all out and always trying to win games. I think we have like players like Mubarak that is there, which I think for me is actually going to be, he's actually going to do well in terms of proving them that he left because he was uncomfortable maybe with the setup or the environment didn't suit him well, because now he's starting to show up and coming off the blocks. We have players like not that as well, which is, I think they're sprinkling in good form, and they're giving the team a good shape now. Even though their performance varying from the bubble, they're starting to pick up now and there again, and their coach as well. He has to work in terms into a few little things, get some of his own form players from the bubble to come back as well. So I'll look at them actually. I think Pirates will take this one.
How should Pirates approach this game, or how should both teams approach each other to avoid drama?
Look, I think one of the main obstacles for both teams is the venue. They're playing at Danny Craven. It's normally at Cape Town City, so as far as my knowledge is, it's a little bit of a smaller field. And for a team like
Pirates that like to play with play.
With
It's
play,
gonna be
bigger
compact.
field. It's a little bit smaller, and I think to a certain degree, Cape Town City will be the happier of the two teams
It
playing.
would favor them, yeah.
Yeah, it will favor them a little bit. So, look, I think for me is Pirates is always going to struggle in Cape Town. I think, especially against Cape Town City.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with a win for Cape Town City because I think that they still want to get back at them for the last, was it in Nedbank Cup?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
The Nedbank Cup where they lost, and then Makola got sent off in that
Yes,
game,
yes,
and they
that
played
red
with
card,
10
yeah.
men. So I think they got a lot to prove. Like Calvin is saying, Mubara's still trying to prove to me. And he had a phenomenal game in that
game,
Nedbank
yeah.
game. Yes, he had a brilliant game, and I think he's obviously going to show that again. Tariq Phillips is, I think, just playing against Pirates has always lifted Cape Town City. And I mean, even when I was there, we always played out of our shell when we know we're playing Orlando Pirates. The players that are there, like you're saying, Nodada is obviously coming back now from being part of
And I think
Bafana.
he'll be making his 100th appearance.
Okay.
For Cape Town City.
Yeah, so that's going to be
another confidence booster. Maybe.
Yeah.
definitely a confidence booster,
And
monumental.
what a way to actually to get your 100th appearance playing against Pirates. Yeah, so I think, yeah.
So I think for me, is I'm definitely going to go with the Cape Town City. I know that, like you say, there's going to be
I
a
know
lot
he's
of...
from Cape Town, that's why he's saying that. So he never give Cape Town players away. He's always going to side with them, even if the odds are against them. But anyway, I know Shu-Aib. He's going to give it to them anyway.
I think Pirates just has the field against them, and also the fact that, you know, Cape Town City's also been shown good glimpses of football. I mean, against AmaZulu, they've got some good combinations going. Ralani's coming back now, also back into it. And I mean, with Ralani on form, Fakhri Lokay up on fire, the new strikers also looking like he's... So, look, it's going to be an entertaining game.
Absolutely, no doubt about
And
that.
I just feel that Pirates, to a certain degree, what I'm not happy with is I'm not happy with this. I'm happy with the speed coming out of their third, but the rushing in the final third.
Yeah, final third is a little bit questionable. That's why I was even varying to say if Mabasa and Lepasa can keep their scoring, because all they need is actually to just get one goal in. Then you start seeing a different structured Pirates, because I feel they always panic when there's still a goalless.
Yes.
Or there's no goals as yet. But once they score, now you see the way they play, they start changing gears from defense to midfield to attack. Even whatever that, what Shu-Aib is saying actually now, it's true. When they come to their final third,
It's still speed.
still speed. There's no change of pace where like we want to see which player, if he's on the bar line, does he need to drag the ball back? Can he chip the ball over to an oncoming player? Because, I mean, those players are fairly quick, all of them, the ones that are playing in front. What I like about Mabasa is actually the one way he drags back for the run, the goal that he scored, where it was from the bar line and then they crossed the ball back and then he stole that ball and scored. So that's a striker instinct of knowing where the box is. And I think also Lepasa is actually coming through very well. If he's guided pretty well, he's actually going to score more goals for them.
Also, speaking of Orlando Pirates, they are coming into this encounter as MTN 8 finalists. Will the coach be thinking about the MTN 8 final when he's selecting his starting 11?
I don't think, for me, I don't think so, because they don't have any players that are on 3 yellow cards that they could maybe lose. Maybe if there was one or two that have a few niggles now, you will be a little bit concerned. But I think it's over enough time. I mean, you're playing on Sunday and then you're playing next week Saturday. So for me, I think he can go all out. And I also think with a little bit of pressure that he maybe is on with regards to the league, he can't really afford to, to take his foot off the pedal or, think, okay, can I rest this one or this? I think he's going to go out full out. And like we all know that this game is going to have a lot of entertainment. I think it's going to be... For me, Orlando Pirates is a little bit vulnerable at the back. And the teams have shown that they can create chances and then they're also good at creating themselves. So that's why I'm saying that I think it's going to be an extremely entertaining game, because Cape Town City themselves have proven to create some good chances over the games that they have played. They're a good passing team. You can see that the coach's philosophy has come in now. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be a good tactical, entertaining game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think on my side as well, for me, I think I would just differ a little bit with Shu-Aib. As much as most of the points that he's saying, they're right in terms of not trying to drop in terms of the league. But I think now this is a final. And if they win this one, they actually they're going to have a good confidence booster. Because if they lose this one, now you have to make up for the other cups that are there. They're already on the final. So being already on the final, I think they will want to go for a kill and try to actually to take this one. Yes, they've got a lot of pedigree, which is, it's not an excuse. They've got a lot of players that they've signed that can just fit in. So it's up to them to actually to lose it at this point. So when it comes to the league, I think the coach it's going to be a matter of a coach having to find balance. Which are the players that have a good big match temperament to come to this game? And which are the players that they can use for next week as league encounter? But this one, I think, he will go for a kill and try to win this one. Just for confidence booster, because if they start now collecting trophies, it gives them more confidence on going to the next game. But if you lose this game, and which is a cup final, then you go to a league match, already your confidence is down because you were close, but you didn't get it.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him when it comes to deciding, because their eye is also on the cup. Their eye might not be too much on, but also the professionalism that they have in the team, they're also not going to allow it. But I know that maybe the younger players, the less experienced players, are going to be on the final. So you as a player now, maybe there's a challenge you will pull out. You say, okay, let me not. I don't want to get injured because I want to, So those are the dynamics which I'm sure the coach and his backroom staff are going to think about going into this game. But I don't think they should, take their foot off the pedal at all. I think they should go all out.
But isn't it too early for the league, even though they're trying to be contenders? Still, we have more football than this one.
Yes, but you must remember, Zimbabwe is always under pressure. Now you lose this game now and then, you maybe don't get the result in the cup. Then it's again they want his head. Then the fans want his head. You lose this game, you lose the cup. Yet his points to the game ratio is title winning ratios.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, what is it now? Maybe 14, 20 games or something. It's like 2 points a game.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you lose these two. So you can't even afford to, And I know they want the cup.
I know, but one has to give on this one. It's just going to vary on the next fixtures. But I think, for me, I think he must go for a kill when it comes to the cup so that he's confident. Because,
and they haven't won
fans,
they haven't won in how many years?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because, their fans can be forgiving to losing one league game, but you've already got a cup. They've got something to boast about. But now, you win this one, the league match, and then you lose the cup. They're still going to be on your neck. They want to win.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I feel if they're going to win, if they win the cup, the fans can be forgiving to that. And they've got something to boast
I'd like
about.
to think this is going to be the match of the weekend.
Yeah.
No,
Undoubtedly,
definitely going to be.
Okay. On Monday, the PSL is announcing player and coach of the month. Who do you think is going to be? Let's start with the player of the month. Shaulile Erasmus?
I think Mshishi. He will come up. He will come up. Mshishi will come up because I think he's more of a player that actually brings light to those other players. Even if he doesn't score, but he always gives them an opportunity to be seen.
No.
So he's the one that influences the games more. And it's apparent that he has already scored goals as well, which is now he's trying to put himself back to where he was. Because in his interview, what he said was he's trying to actually to improve the last game Shishi. And which is actually good from a player not to take the foot off the pedal. So when he does that, it actually brings him up into a conversation now and again. Not trying to say the other players are not doing that good, but I think with his influence around the players that he's got, because if we just mention now Shaulile and Erasmus, it's people that are actually in the same pack, they're playing in one and the same team. So I think having Mshishi there gives them an option that he knows how to play with them. They know how to position themselves when he's approaching.
The only reason why I won't go with Mshishi is, as much as he has been scoring, right? But his assists are from Shalulile and are from Erasmus. And sometimes you look at games and then you just see Shalulile's at the back defending. And then he's at the back.
Too much energy, it's too much energy that is wasting.
No, but I look at Shalulile and I look at his work rate, and he's so much like the way the coaches used to tell us before. Don't be worried about the person that scored the goal. Look at the person that also created the goal. And that is, for me, is why I will go with somebody like, I will give it to Shalulila Player of the Month. Because, I mean, I look at games and I'm seeing he's busy defending at the back, and then he's clearing a header from a set piece, and then he's assisting and he's scoring.
But Shu-Aib, if you're going to say that, then now we're going to have a problem, because Shalulila is bought to score goals. Right?
Yes.
They've got enough defending power at the back. But now, if you find him spending more time in defense,
no, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying he's in defense. What I'm saying is his work ethic. He has never shown like, oh, I'm too tired to attack this ball because I just defended.
But I think because it's within him and he always wants to solidify his position.
But now,
so his work rate is actually one that actually surpassed the others. Because if you see Erasmus, you normally think that he's not even in a game. But you will see him every time when he has to receive the ball on half spaces and try to make runs in the box. Because the one of the things that I've realized about Erasmus, he always tries to make sure that Shalulila shows up to those pocket spaces that he doesn't occupy. So if Erasmus could actually stop making the runs, it will not free Shalulila, because most players know now that Shalulila is a hard worker and he's a player that will press you. That is hard on marking. So if you stay man on him, he's actually going to take the job of doing what? More into a defense, because he's always going to be on a turnover more than when he's supposed to be making entries in the box. So that's my other way of actually looking at it. Not that in your way it's not the right way, but I'm just saying if he finds himself defending more, that means the back four is actually keeping him at bay.
No, but you see I'm not saying that he's defending too much. What I'm saying is, what are we looking at now? What is the question? My player of the month. Now, for me, my player of the month is because he ticks boxes. He scored, he assisted, and he's helping in defense. You understand? And his work ethic. And you're right by saying, look, he's a generally hard worker. Yes. So that is in his nature. Yeah. But all of those things coming together now, for me, that is what warrants for me the player of the month. I'm not saying, look, I agree with you. Look, sometimes he is maybe too much at the back on this and that. But for me, it's to warrant the player of the month.
But I think what puts those players together is that they understand their role. And if all of them, if Shalulila gives that 100%, the front four will not lack the same ethics that Shalulila, because if somebody sets a pace, like if you set up a pace, a good pace, we'll always try to follow that, because it'll always leave a big gap between the front four, which is what they're doing quite well. Even him, he just proves that he's got it in him. So now he's trying to take out other players to lift their game up. Even when they lose the ball, they immediately try and press there.
Look, that is why we've agreed right at the beginning that that is why they're such a well-oiled machine, is because they all already gelling so early in the season. So we understand that. But for me, is when asked what do I look at the guy that, and I look at all the aspects. That's what I'm saying. I look at all of it. Yes, Mshishi is scoring goals and he's playing well.
As well.
He is assisting and he's getting in good positions.
He's defending as well.
He is defending as well. Maybe I always want to look at the unsung heroes.
Yeah, maybe that's where we should have went.
Yes, maybe I like to look at the unsung heroes. But I also like to look at and yes, maybe because Mshishi has already got all his trophies from last season.
Yeah, you're trying to give somebody an opportunity to actually get to that point.
But I think they are on song at the moment. I think, yes, they are at the same level. Yeah. And maybe I want to give it to Shalulila to push him for the rest of the season.
That's good, yeah. That could be
I don't know. Maybe factor. That is why I'm looking at it.
But that maybe might be a factor that can actually make him to drop. Because mostly when players start getting accolades early, their form dips. Some players, when they get the accolades, they push for more. Like what I'm saying with Mshishi's interview when he said he wants to improve the old Mshishi. That was good to hear from a player to say, that player that has done so well became a player of the season. Yes, he's there, but I'm trying to get past that player now, which is he's proven that by scoring. And how did he score? He scored because he was assisted by the teammates that were around him that made sure that he completed his hat-trick.
Let's move on to, time is not on our side, let's move on to coach of the season. Pirates coach, Manqoba, Swallows coach?
I'm definitely going to go with Brandon Turuta.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's not the reason.
I'm from Durban. I'm gonna go to Mangoba definitely. So it's Cape Town.
I'm
Durban.
from Bloom, so I'm not gonna go with anyone.
Yeah.
For me is when I know it looks like I always want to, shy away from Sundowns. And I'll give all three coaches their due. Mangoba,
They
Coach
deserve it,
Rulani, Coach Steve. But I look and I only see Brakis and I only see Brandon. And as much as, yes, he's got good backroom staff, we're sitting with three head coaches.
But that's not their fault.
It's not their fault, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah, we're looking at the coach. But if I hire all the brains, that you don't have to penalize me for doing so.
But
well.
now look how well I'm doing with one brain.
No, it doesn't
I'm not
matter.
saying it's
That's
one
not
brain
my
at Sun.
fault.
I'm not saying it's one brain
That's
at
what I'm saying.
Swallows.
It's not my fault.
I know it's not your
Yeah.
fault. But what I'm saying is, I look at Brandon and then I look at Kamal Said. Brandon has never been in the PSL, even as an assistant coach. Kamal has been part of PSL. The job that they're doing is phenomenal. And so that is why I think it has to go hands down to Brandon to return.
For me, I think I will give it to Mangoba. Reason being is he's picked up Sundowns. They didn't show any signs of dipping down because, you would expect it when somebody that was heading the house, when he leaves, and then you start having holes being punched on the house. And I think the consistency that he has left and the plan, it just shows that they plan properly for more years to come in terms of how they're going to roll up their program. And it's good to see them, they're still at the top. So yes, I will actually give it to Mangoba. I think all coaches that are there deserve it. But anyway, at the end of the day, there needs to be one winner.
Just before we go, we have a question for Shu-Aib from Twitter. Tepo_SS is asking your thoughts on Richard Ofori's technique of catching the ball. We've seen him drop it a few times. Is it a technical flaw or a loss of concentration?
He's talking about the goal against Baroka. Yeah.
It's just
To answer your question, Chepo, what we need to understand is African goalkeepers' techniques are generally not. We're not going to say not correct because they've been trained in a certain way in development. So we keep it that way. Even if you look at Mendy from Chelsea, his technique is a whole lot different to all the other goalkeepers in England, and it's to a certain degree.
So is Nana from Ajax. Yeah.
There we go. So is Nana at Ajax, Amsterdam. That goal that he dropped was just a lapse in concentration, and I think
also it showed. It showed on him when he dropped it.
Yes.
You know that I stuffed up.
Yeah.
Because his reaction actually told the whole story in terms of I should have actually gotten that ball.
He has though improved phenomenally compared to the time that he was on trial at Cape Town City, our first season, 2016, 2017 in November, December. And there I could pick up already. He wasn't strong aerially. And why that is because the African goalkeepers don't deal with crosses much up in Africa.
Because of the height.
Because of the height, and they know that the defenders deal with all the crosses.
Yeah.
So he had to adjust, and I think he's improved quite a bit with his crosses. So to answer your question, I don't think it's necessarily the technique, because at his age, he's got his technique already. So you can't change it now. You
At
can
14
only...
already, you're supposed to have your technique.
Yeah. Like Calvin is saying, between 14 and 18, we're still at the ages where we can work with goalkeepers' as techniques and stuff. But in that sense, it wasn't his technique, it was just lapse in concentration. He's got his own technique, which his goalkeeper coach works with. His goalkeeper coach can see that he's got a specific technique, and they will try and improve it with certain training drills that they do.
Gentlemen, let's end it here. Thank you so much for joining us and always making time for us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
It was a good show.
The conversation does not end here on social media. Please, it continues on Twitter under the hashtag FranceSport. Let us know your thoughts on the conversation that we had today, the predictions,